and avoid interferences that risk destabilizing member states and adversely affect regional unity. And finally, the authority expresses gratitude to His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Chair of the Ecowas Authority, for convening the extraordinary summit and for the manner in which he has been conducting the affair of the community as Chair of Authority. Done at Abuja this 24th day of February 2024. The Authority. This is the communique of the extraordinary session. It will be made available in the languages of Echoes as soon as possible. I thank you for your presence.
Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, let's keep the questions short. And if another journalist has already asked the questions you intend to ask, please, you step down. I'll start with TVC.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Moya Thomas. I report for TVC News. Sir, I would want to know why ECOWAS authority did not wait for these three countries to shift ground a little bit, so ECOWAS does not see it to be same as not strong, or could condone unconstitutional change of power by lifting the sanctions without them taking any deliberate step to meet the demands of ECOWAS. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I have made it, I have referred to the appeals that have been made to the leaders by leaders such as former head of state, General Gowon, religious leaders, traditional leaders, with regard to the sanctions on Niger. It is on purely humanitarian grounds that the leaders have deemed it important and necessary to lift the sanctions, especially as we are in the Lent period and we are approaching the holy month of Ramadan. The people and the interest of the people is what has informed the decision of the leaders to lift the sanctions, because as you know, although it is not the intention of the leaders, sanctions do affect citizens in one way or another, and the leaders deem it important to really take measures that will alleviate any possible suffering for the ordinary person. So it is on humanitarian grounds that the leaders have taken this decision. As I said, ECOWAS remains committed to its zero tolerance for unconstitutional change of government. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, sir. I am Princess Ekwi Ajide of the Anambra Broadcasting Service. Sir, from all indications, withdrawal of the three countries from ECOWAS will spell doom for the bloc. And just like you said, it's based on humanitarian grounds. But I'm worried because this may be green light for countries who are so pressed to say we can also use unconstitutional measures to get what we want.
Now, let me make it very clear. What I have listed is not exhaustive. Political sanctions have not been lifted. Border closures have been lifted, and commercial sanctions have been lifted. But there are targeted sanctions as well as political sanctions that remain in force. Thank you.
Hiya. I wasn't clear. Is it just Niger that the sanctions have been lifted on? And can I also ask a question about Senegal? Have you effectively welcomed Macky Sall back into the fold, and is that all in the past now, all the problems in Senegal?
I think our sanctions regime should be assessed correctly. The list I have given relates mainly to Niger because all the other countries still have political sanctions on them. So the border closures, the commercial sanctions and all that are on Niger, and that is what the leaders have decided to lift. But individual sanctions as well as political sanctions remain in place in Niger. Now, for other countries, political sanctions remain. That is the limited ability to attend Ecowas summits as well as ministerial sessions. Now, regarding Senegal, the leaders have taken note of President Macky Sall's, the end of President Macky Sall's term of office on the 2nd of April, and appeals to all stakeholders in Senegal to give priority to dialogue so that they can have free, fair, and inclusive elections.
My name is Amadine Uyi with News Central Television. On the issue of Mali, Guinea, Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso, I know that recently the three states formed a parallel and competing body, one that competes with ECOWAS. Though I understand that is not ECOWAS membership is not mandatory, I'm curious to know how the Commission wishes to be able to handle that issue, especially as it goes against the core objectives and key responsibilities of ECOWAS, including its interests. Thank you.
ECOWAS is a reality. We all travel freely within the sub-region, and we trade freely among ourselves. So that reality is there. ECOWAS, therefore, does not see another grouping as a threat. In addition to the alliance, you have many other smaller groupings within ECOWAS. You have UEMOA, you have Mano River Union, you have the other smaller functional organizations dealing with specific matters. Entente Cordiale and all that. You do have, there is another organization, I've just forgotten the name, I beg your pardon, the Entente. And these are institutions that serve specific purposes within ECOWAS. So they are not in competition with ECOWAS. We don't see any organization as in competition with ECOWAS. We think we can complement each other. We just need to coordinate properly.
Good afternoon, sir. Your Excellency, my name is Vincent Sokushi from Quality Television. Sir, now that the sanction is lifted, I want to know what efforts is the ECOWAS head of state going to do or put in place to ensure that, to halt this unconstitutional change of power, knowing fully well that violators are not punished? Thank you.
As I have said, let me repeat again. There is an array of sanctions. Some have been lifted, others have not been lifted. Not all sanctions have been lifted. You have political sanctions that are in place, you have individual sanctions that are in place. We felt there are certain sanctions that affect the common person a bit more, and the leaders on humanitarian grounds have deemed it important and necessary to remove those sanctions.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency. My name is Stephen Angulu. I write for the Punch newspapers. My question is about the alliances that these nations have built within the time they've been away and been under sanctions. Since coming under military rule, we understand that Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea have strengthened the alliances with Russia and on various economic fronts. Does this bother the Ecowas in any way? And what becomes of that, given your current decision? Thank you.
As I have said, ECOWAS does not see any outfit as competitors or competing against ECOWAS. What we frown up against is anything from outside that will destabilize the region and affect the unity of the region. ECOWAS does not accept that, but ECOWAS welcomes any partnership that promotes our development and our unity.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies. My name is Eniola Akinkwotu. I work with the Africa Report, Jeune Afrique. The three countries that announced that they're pulling out of ECOWAS, that's Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. They spoke about ECOWAS, becoming a stooge of the West. I was going to ask this question: will ECOWAS be considering, cutting the umbilical cord between the CFA zone and Banque de France to prove to these people that you are not stooges of the West? That is one. Secondly, is we've seen time and time again ECOWAS being very proactive whenever there's a coup. But when civilian heads of state, embark on tenure extension, allegation, or they attempt it, we see ECOWAS not being as stern. I'm going to ask, will ECOWAS or the civilian regimes in West Africa, will they acknowledge this and these democratic shortcomings and begin to address them? What's ECOWAS plan to address this sort of things in the long run? Thank you.
As you know, we are working towards an ECOWAS single currency, but we are not yet there. So for now, there is no single ECOWAS currency we can talk about, let alone a link of that currency to another central bank. It is an objective to have our own single currency, but we have yet to get there. Regarding unconstitutional behavior, I think I have made it very clear, ECOWAS stands against unconstitutional behavior, whether perpetrated by military or non-military individuals. That is the position of ECOWAS.
Good evening, Your Excellency. All protocols duly observed. My name is Jonas Ezeke from Daily Champion. I want to ask, sir, is the authority of ECOWAS head of states and government going to have another summit where they will deliberate on human rights issues as it affects citizens of member nations? Or if they are not going to have such summit, why is the authority of the head of states and government not looking at issues of human rights as it affects member countries' citizens? Thank you, sir.
I think human rights is extremely important to ECOWAS and to ECOWAS member states and to ECOWAS leaders. And the subject is discussed regularly, perhaps maybe not as prominently as you may have wished. But I can assure you that even this discussion we are having on constitutional change of government covers elements of human rights of citizens. And this is why ECOWAS insists on constitutionalism, ECOWAS insists on rule of law, because these sit at the heart of human rights defense and human rights protection.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We've come to the end of the press conference. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the press.
Thank you.